Over the past 30 years, 18 to 29-year-olds have consistently had the lowest voting rates, as reported by the census. Now, for the first time ever in Pennsylvania, the number of registered youth voters has surpassed the number of voters over 65. People like Central High School civics teacher Tom Quinn are encouraging students to vote by creating student-led voter registration teams, successfully registering over 100 seniors this year. Mr. Quinn and the students at Central work alongside Vote That John.
We are partnering with Vote That John to create a new way of getting young people excited about voting, eager to vote, and to show up to the polls. Since 2014, the last midterm election, there was something like 130% increase in 18-year-old voter registrations between these two elections. We can't take all that credit, but it's certainly, the students who got involved in registering their peers to vote definitely had to have some of that, and they really deserve some kudos for that.
Through these efforts, Quinn and his team have seen great successes.
So at Central, we've gotten 92% of students to vote, 103 students. We got slightly beat out by Masterman. They got 96%. Bodine got 95%. Other schools got similar numbers. I don't have all the numbers yet, but we're doing quite well, I think, in terms of getting the numbers. It's way more than the general population in terms of voter registration.
Mr. Quinn credits much of this success to the involvement of his students. Central senior Cameron Davis is leading a social media campaign on Election Day to get students excited about the vote on Instagram and Twitter.
So I created a hashtag that we can use with our social media, and you guys can use individually, and it's called hashtag Put Your Vote Where Your Mouth Is.
Whoa! The rest of the team is leading the efforts to engage their peers.
Well, I got my peers to register and get out and vote by basically just approaching them and telling them that voting is important and telling them why. I talked to them about some of the issues.
By talking to them about what they're passionate about, whether that's education, whether that's immigration or gun policies or job opportunities for the future, we want them to go out and elect the people that are going to make those changes for them.
At the peak of Quinn's voter registration team's efforts, just before the October 9th registration deadline, an article was published accusing Quinn of liberal indoctrination of students. Val DeGiorgio, Central alum and chairperson of the GOP, attacked Quinn in a scathing article in which DeGiorgio claimed Quinn was handing out liberal flyers and indoctrinating his students. Larger news publications such as Breitbart even picked up the story. Quinn refuted this point in his own article, denying any allegations of indoctrination and showing that the so-called flyer was just a poster hung up as one example among many of varied biased political materials. Parents and teachers held a rally in support of Quinn after DeGiorgio's article.
I think that registering students to vote encourages them to take part in American citizenship. Everybody should vote. Everybody should vote. That's why I just don't understand how someone could get attacked after registering so many kids to vote. I feel like it's our civic duty to encourage our children to vote.
Voting is everything. Voting makes a difference, and the ability to have civics taught properly in our schools by our educators will make the difference for our future.
You asked me, why did I go out of my way to help register kids to vote? And I'm a civics teacher, so I didn't go out of my way at all. I think it's part of what we really need to do. I think that if we would do a disservice to our students not asking them to go out and vote. I think all civics teachers should register their students to vote, encourage them to the polls, and really learn how to participate in civic society.
At the rally, the concern was not only for Quinn's particular case, but for student and youth vote suppression in general.
The suppression of voting on any level is an atrocity and should be dealt with the vigor and the energy and all the verbs that you can conjure up so that we push back on it and don't have to deal with it on a regular basis.
Just the continuation of these voter suppression tactics and intimidation and bullying that they do for marginalized communities, and really young people are marginalized communities as well, and then just scaring teachers away from teaching. Voter suppression is a real thing, and we see it happen all over the country, but it's at an all-time low when you're attacking the children.
Despite setbacks like these, Tom Quinn and his team continued their voter registration efforts. The the students of Philadelphia and Tom Quinn refused to be silenced.
Bendu said, I pledge to vote on Election Day because I care about immigration. Lorraine said, I pledge to vote on Election Day because I care about minimum wage. My future, voting, food. That's a teenager answer. All right. I care about America. I care about democracy. Right. So there's really some really good answers here. And when you're texting your friends, remind them what they said.
I want change. I want to see a country that, elevates people instead of like pushing them down.
Because people will actually be compassionate and want to help the people that voted them into office in the first place.
Potentially see a change in my community and know that I could be part of that. I could be in support of whatever change happens.
31% of registered 18 to 29-year-olds nationwide cast ballots, a 56% increase over that age group in 2014, and nearly double the 31% jump in the overall electorate. With continued efforts of people like Quinn and voter registration teams around the country, we will move toward a freer democracy with each election.